Good afternoon, Curling World. Welcome back to this, the final of the second Adelboden International. My name is Lorna Rettig and I will be hosting us through the final game here between two Swiss teams. We've ended up with an all-Swiss final, and that is Team Hösli against Team Jungen. Either way, we will have a new champion this year. The first Adelboden International, that was last year, and that was won by Team Peter de Cruz. De Cruz not here this year, so whoever wins, whoever gets their name on, is a lovely trophy. Nice big trophy downstairs with, it was an older trophy that was repurposed for this new competition, so there are actually a lot of names on it already. And there will be 4 new names on it after this game, so that's always nice. We started off with 20 teams on Thursday evening, 4 groups of 5 teams. And at the end of the round robin, the teams were ranked 1 to 20, with the top 8 qualifying for quarterfinals. We watched the quarterfinals last night. The 4 winners of those quarterfinals, it was Team Jungen. They won their game against Team Iseli from Italy. Team Hösli, they won their game against Team Traub, also from Switzerland. Team Glukovh were the other semi-finalists this morning. They won 5-4 over Team Hess. And our 4th semi-finalist was Team Schnider. They won their game last night against Team Nyman. And maybe you were able to join us this morning at 9 o'clock for the semi-finals. And it was a convincing win for Team Hösli over the Russian Team Glukovh. And the Russians never really got to grips with their game this morning, unfortunately. They had quite a lot of mistakes scattered in there. But at the same time, Team Hösli really were playing some fabulous stuff. So it was a bit of a bad combination. One team was really having a bit of an off day, and the other team were just making everything. You can watch that in the video tab on this YouTube channel, the semi-final from this morning, as well as all the other games we've been watching this weekend. So that was how Hösli qualified to get here to the final, and the other semi-final, really tight affair between Team Jungen and Team Schnider. That went right down to the last stone, but it was a steal of a point in the last end for Team Jungen, and that brings them to this final. So Team Hösli playing red stones and helpfully wearing red uniforms. And Team Jungen I don't hear anything. Okay, so we're just trying to fix the technical gremlins again. I think we've got commentary back, and now we're just trying to get the sound from the ice hall, but at least we can see. That's the main point. We can see what's going on out there. We're just in the first end of this 8-end final here in Adelboden. And I'm sure we'll get the ice hall sound up and running just shortly. But Team Hösli in the red uniforms throwing red stones. They have last shot in this first end, and I think after this stone from third thrower Yves Stocker, they look in quite a nice position there. Four stones to come in this first end. And I will repeat the team lineup. I'm not sure if that maybe got lost in the silence a bit. But interestingly, both of these teams, the skip is not the fourth thrower, so summon your brains. We all need to concentrate. There'll be various players holding the brush. And we noticed this before. We've watched a couple of games from Team Jungen, and we noticed this before that okay, they are playing the hit and roll. I thought the call was a straight draw for fourth thrower Mark Pfister, which would be kind of bonkers aggressive at this stage in the game, but that works too. Just removing that danger. So I think hard to tell from our angle. Philip Hösli having a good look at it to check what's closest. I think Yves Stocker just pointed to the yellow, so I think the yellow next to Yves, I think that's first shot. The red next to Philip is second, and the yellow on our right looks like that's third stone at the moment. They are having a good look at it. First throw of the final then coming up for Philip Hösli. And it looks like they are going to just try to get to the centre first. We may yet see a measure to see if that red stone outcounts the yellow. But 3 stones to come yet. 2 for Team Hösli, 1 for Team Jungen. So thanks for your patience in the chat. Thank you to Robert and Curling Hoot for helping us out with our sound. And I'm sure we'll have the microphones from the ice hall back shortly. This looks like a really super start for Philip Hösli. Yep, that's pretty good. He's left, I think, just enough space for Mark Pfister to place a second stone on top of that, but not easy. Oh, and now I can hear the players talking. So hopefully all of the sound is now fixed. Hooray! If you joined us in Baden a couple of weeks ago, we were discussing the idea of radio curling, where we have only sound and no pictures, but I think we came to the conclusion that that might not be as interesting as we thought, but certainly we can manage for a little while with only pictures and no sound. But I think we're all set now, just in time for the conclusion of this first end. So final throw for Mark Pfister of Team Jungen in this first end.
Slide through. Yep. That is good. Yep. Good.
And that is a nice stone there from Mark Pfister. I'm not sure if that yellow just thrown by Mark, I'm not sure if that's now the shot or whether he just nudged up against the red and maybe just cut down that scoring area. By the look of it, I think that red is still shot actually, because there doesn't seem to be any advantage to following Mark Pfister's yellow, otherwise you're just going to push the yellow further in. So I have an idea that the red is still shot, but Mark Pfister's done a super job of really blocking the path to get a second point. So I think Philip has to play an incredibly accurate shot here and try and land this stone just grabbing a piece of the 1 foot circle. He had perfect weight last time, so let's see if he can find that same weight. I tell you, it's not as unusual as you might think seeing this shot at this level. Great effort, and it looks like indeed that red was already lying shot, but nice saving shot from Mark Pfister there. And I think that's a score of 1 red here in the first end. I'm sure they will confirm it just shortly. So I'll do the team lineup again. I'm not sure if that got sucked into the silence. And both teams, actually, their fourth thrower in both teams is not the same as the skip, as we've been discussing this weekend. You see that a bit more often these days, that splitting the responsibility, that throwing fourth stones, last rocks, is not for everyone. It's really quite a difficult situation, and there are plenty of people who just don't like it. But wearing red uniforms and throwing red stones. Now, summon your brains, pay attention. Throwing fourth stone is Philip Hösli. Third and skip that you can see right in front of you is actually Yves Stocker. Don't get confused with his uniform. Second thrower is Marco Hefti, and lead thrower is Justin Hauser. And we'll come back to that team lineup in just a second. There we are. Nice shot of Justin Hauser setting us off in the second end there. The score confirmed that was 1 red. And for Team Jungen, they are throwing yellow and wearing blue uniforms. Fourth thrower is Mark Pfister. Third thrower is Tim Jungen. Second thrower and skip is Bjorn Jungen. And lead thrower is Simon Gempler. Now the Hösli team, they have guest super sub skip Yves Stocker for the weekend, and they swapped out Marco Hösli to Team Jan Hess. So those two teams switched players for the weekend. Yves came to the Team Hösli over here, and Marco Hösli was the guest super sub skip for Team Jan Hess. And the reason they have done that is because that constellation, Team Jan Hess featuring Marco Hösli, that constellation will be representing Switzerland at the Universiade in December. And this was a good opportunity to practice that lineup. And I think they did pretty well. They made it to the quarter-final with, rather, playing against Team Glukovh from Russia. And if you remember, that's the same team from Russia that were recently fourth in the World Championship. They finished second after the round robin and placed fourth finally. And they pushed them all the way to the last stone. But Glukovh getting the win in the end. But the rest of Team Hösli getting a little bit of revenge this morning. As I said, the Russians were just not on their game at all this morning. And clearly we know they can play better, but yeah, they just couldn't find their game at all this morning. And in contrast, Team Hösli were making everything, so it wasn't only that Russia were having a bit of a struggle with their game. Team Hösli were just not missing a thing. So yeah, looks like that swapping of players seems to have worked out well for both teams, both having a strong weekend. And this is nice from Team Jungen. They have last shot now in the second end. They did very nicely, forcing Team Hösli to score only 1 point there in that first end. So we have the on-ice cam for this final game. So now we can get a really nice action shot of second thrower Marco Hefti. There you are. You can just see the feet of the ice cam on the left of your screen. And nice throw from Marco Hefti, just removing that dangerous yellow over on the wings, not letting Team Jungen get settled, not letting them start building stones. This is their home competition, Team Jungen. There's skip and second thrower Bjorn Jungen. Plenty of experience on that team, still quite a new lineup. But you can see Simon Gempler, the vice skip. He's been around forever. Mark Pfister has been around forever. The Jungen brothers from this club in Adelboden. They've played together forever, so a lot of experience, and that new lineup had a bright start last season. They did well in this competition last year, and they got all the way to the final in the Champery event. And continuing that good form, going one better this year and getting to the final of their home event. And happily this year, we can have people back in the club room. Last year, we were being quite strict with our social distancing and keeping the athletes separate from the spectators and the organisers, just to try to keep everybody as safe and healthy as possible. This year, a little bit more relaxed. We're still wearing masks indoors in Switzerland. So if you're going to the store or on the bus or something, or if you're in the club room, we still wear masks indoors, but certainly it's a busier club room than it was last time. And I'm sure there will be plenty of people supporting this home team. So Bjorn getting everything moving, just the one red removed. Team Jungen playing yellow. They do have last stone in the second end. And what Boring Old Lorna would do is just remove that corner guard, don't give them the chance again. Make sure they really have no place to start building stones. First throw in this second end for Yves Stocker. And I know I keep saying it, but he's a big giant of a chap, and he neatly folds himself into that delivery. And good to see Team Hösli keeping up the pressure, still going for the aggressive call. As long as they're allowing these two reds and there's a good separation, which there is. Hard for Team Jungen to come up with stones lying around. It's hard for them to start building an end. Looks like we've got several fans of Swiss curling and both of the teams in the chat. Hello to Kay and Dominic and Ria. Thank you for joining us. Team Jungen not quite making the double there. And looks like what Hösli is doing, the reason he's going for the aggressive tactics, I think, is to try to force Team Jungen to score 1 point back again, and then everything will be even and they will get last stone back again. So that's probably why they were not going for the defensive strategy and removing the corner guard. And they want to just hit this on the nose. They don't want this red going too close to the centre. Unfortunately, it has, because now there's a very makeable double, and that means that Team Jungen may have the opportunity instead to blank this end and hang on to last stone. So a little bit of a mistake there. We can see how important, again, the stone placement is. It's not only about removing that yellow. It's important that the shooter, the red, finds a good spot as well. So Team Jungen with chance to get rid of both of these. That's also a nice result, just rolling straight in front of the red, and now he's got a bit of backing. Timo in the chat, also a Stoker fan. No, I think we've probably got a healthy balance of fans for both teams. Yeah, not so easy to remove that yellow without removing the red as well. And it looks like what Philip might be doing is similar to what we saw Mark Pfister do with his last stone in the previous end. And that is to just really block that yellow in. As we said, Team Hösli, they would very much like it if they can force Team Jungen to score just one yellow point and then get last stone back again. So first stone of the second end for Philip Hösli. And indeed coming down at that gentle weight. I think he just wants to trap that yellow and make sure they can't get more than one. So good effort. That was quite a delicate shot, but I think, again, there is opportunity that, just as Björn Jungen is signalling, still opportunity that Jungen could score two though, with last stone here. This is the normal constellation, the normal lineup for Team Jungen. But Philip Hösli throwing fourth stones this weekend. Typically he throws third stones when he and other Marco and Justin play with his brother Marco Hösli. So Philip doing really well, throwing fourth stones this weekend. As I said, that is not for everyone, throwing fourth stones. Some people really don't like doing it. You need to have good nerves to throw fourth. And this stone really catching a curl, and they have to be careful here because that's going to indeed catch that other yellow. That just curled a wee bit too much there. And now not only is there definitely space for Philip to remove that yellow, I think it's very makeable for him to leave two reds lying around with big separation and get exactly what they were hoping for in this weekend, rather in this end, and forcing Team Jungen to score one. But to do that, they not only have to remove this yellow, they have to make sure that their red is hanging around. Final shot for Team Hösli in the second end.
Oh. Oh. Justin. Close. Oh. Martin. Close. Yep. Yep. Oh. Oh. Justin. Oh.
This looks nice and controlled. Now, does the red hang around? I think it will. There, couldn't have played that much better. There is a double take out there. Again, if your life depended on it, if it was the 8th end and you had to go for it, it is possible, but by far the best idea right now is to just accept that, yep, we were outplayed that end, and we've been forced to pick up 1 point here. Good reply from Team Hösli after they were forced to take 1 point in the first end. As I said, Mark Pfister, very experienced player. He's happy to throw fourth. He's strong nerves, and they're no trouble at all. Just that nice gentle weight, and his sweeper's making sure that it gets right to the nose of the red. So, as you were, a force of 1 to Team Hösli in end 1, and a force of 1 back again to Team Jungen in end 2. Cagey stuff out there. I imagine we shall see a lot more of these tactics. The team with last stone really trying to put up some corner guards, trying to build a couple of stones, and the team without last stone really trying to force the issue and grab last stone back for themselves. So a bright start in this game. Peak Curl says, Grüße aus Schottland, greetings from Scotland. Hello, Peak Curl. Big competition going on in Scotland this weekend as well. There, just in the background, you could see that nice big trophy. I'm sure we'll have a chance to see it again. So aggressive start again from Björn Jungen. Lovely centre guard from Simon Gempler. Team Hösli with last stone in this third end. And Justin Hauser going for a draw behind that centre guard. If you look carefully, actually, for the camera, the on-ice camera, if it's looking back towards the clubhouse, you can see a big photo of Team Adelboden on the wall. That was Team Sven Mikkel from a few years ago, and on the far right of that photo, as you see it, is the very same Simon Gempler now on the ice.
Achtung, oh, oh. Ines, good. Yep.
If you want to say hi in the chat, looks like we've got lots of people tuning in this afternoon. We're glad to have you in the chat. If you want to say hello, either in English or in Swiss German.
Danny. Ja.
Second shot for Justin Hauser. Just wants to punch that yellow through and hang around himself. And I was going to see if he gets a little roll to the wing, that's quite nice to drag the play away from the centre, but that's rolled a little bit too much to the wing. And that now gives Jungen a chance to use his own centre guard and put a bit of pressure on Hösli.
Service.
You can see in the background of Björn throwing there, the winner of this game. They will get a nice check for 1,200 Swiss francs. The loser of this final game, they can console themselves with a check for 800 Swiss francs. Our two semi-finalists, they each picked up a check for 500 Swiss francs. And our quarter-finalists from yesterday evening, they all won prize money of 300 francs. And that's always very helpful if you can pay towards your next competition.
11,5. Ja! 11,5. Easy. 11,5. Oh. 11,5.
So I think going for the same idea, just punching that yellow through and rolling to the wings, and I think this one is now going to hang on. Yes, it does. Really nice shot there from Marco Hefti. Dragging play all the way away from the centre. Björn Jungen without last stone in this third end. Although that is Björn throwing now, and it's Simon Gempler holding the brush. They don't have last stone in this third end, so they would rather have the chance to continue playing towards the centre. And again, he's certainly getting a roll, and I think that was just going to hang on as well. It certainly is, but it's behind tee.
Yep.
But same idea. Hösli with last stone, they rather keep the play away from the centre. So Marco Hefti trying basically the same shot, but the mirror image. Same drill, remove the yellow, and ideal is to roll away from the centre. I don't think he's going to though. This stone's caught quite a curl.
Whoa.
Golly, that was a good sweep round the guard from Philip Hösli. Good stuff from Marco.
12. Finish gleich snel weer daarvoor. 11,5.
Now Tim Jungen's turn, Björn's brother. They could play the very aggressive stone and just try to control the centre. So just use their own guard, ignore that red at the back.
Whoa.
But I think, yeah, cautious approach at the moment.
Yep.
Because they don't have last stone.
Yep.
And again, if it was the 8th end and they really had to, they might use the more aggressive tactics. But at the moment, everybody being very respectful and cautious out there. Maybe Team Jungen even had a look at their opposition's semi-final this morning and noticed that they were on fire. So not wanting to give Team Hösli any chance to build some stones.
Clean. Easy. Clean. Yep.
And Peak Curl tells us that another Swiss team is doing well this weekend. Yannick Schwaller won the first ESS competition. And Morrison on the women's side. Is that Rebecca Morrison? Rachel Morrison, forgive me, but congratulations to those. And Schwaller having quite a winning-y sort of few weeks. They won the competition in Baden 2 weeks ago. And they've now won in Scotland. And they will be feeling pretty pleased with themselves. Because coming up shortly, I think it's in November, coming up for them is the Olympic playoff. Not clear yet who will represent Switzerland for the men's at the Olympics. It will be one of Yannick Schwaller's team or Peter de Cruz's team. And by the sound of it, Yannick Schwaller's team is also on fire.
Clean. Clean. Whoa. Clean. Clean.
So pretty straightforward stuff here in our third end of the final lap, the second Adelboden International.
please. Yep. No one for here.
All this tit-for-tat hitting is all very well, but these stones are all still behind the tee line. And now Bjorn Jungen going to call their bluff. And he is going to go for the aggressive stone. He is going to now try and really cut down the scoring area, just like they did in the first end. Oh, a lot of love for Eve Stocker in the chat. That's nice to see. So Mark Pfister's already played a couple of these nice shots. There you can see right over his left shoulder, you can see the big trophy that both these teams are playing for. It was an older trophy, now brought back to life for this competition. And this looks really nice from Mark. Nice stuff from Mark Pfister. That yellow's going nowhere. It's stuck itself to that red behind it, and that leaves Philip Hösli very little space. We can see exactly the same tactics playing out here. I think Team Jungen being, as I said, very respectful of Team Hösli. They will know them pretty well. They all play in the Swiss leagues. And they may have noticed that Team Hösli was just making every single shot this morning. So they're being very cautious, just trying to force Hösli to score only 1 point.
Linie ist gut. Achtung. Putze. Achtung. Yep. 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 Beide. Yep. Halt.
They're getting this line just super. Everybody's looks like they've really got to grips with that big curl at the end. And just that nice gentle weight, actually. You can see that just moved the red that was behind the yellow. That's just moved that a little bit out of the way. If Philip Hösli has the chance to play a similar stone, he would have a chance at scoring 2 and possibly even 3. So what do you do if you're yellow, if you're Bjorn Jungen? Yeah, I like the look of that. Very similar shot that Mark's just played, I think will do. And just really isolate that red right in the middle. Don't give Philip a chance to score a second point. Yep, I think just where Bjorn has his brush. I like the look of that. And really lock that red in the middle. Don't give them any space. And we may have another force of 1 point. We have Noah Rebecca Luthi in the chat as well. She's another Stocker fan. Nice to see everybody saying hello. We welcome everybody here in the virtual club.
Ganz acht. Warte. Linie ist gut. Linie ist gut.
He's just thrown this, Mark Pfister.
Linie ist super.
So hopefully he can play pretty much the same again. I think that's coming up a little bit short, but that's not a disaster. The point is to block the path for Philip Hösli that he cannot get a second point. Now they're both having a look at it to see, is there still a way around on the clockwise handle? There, that's a lovely view of the trophy on the left there. That will have 4 new names on it this evening. We also have Melard Lucien in the chat. I hope I said that properly. Also, Stocker fan.
Ja.
Nog een mee.
Genau, 8 precies op de linie is. Perfect. Hinten 8?
Ja, ik glaube Mathieu T und dann Walstad ist am Start.
I think, yeah, I don't think there's an opportunity on the clockwise handle that we've been playing up till now. I think you're going to have to indeed come around on the anti-clockwise handle. And we saw Philip attempting something very similar on the first end, and he was ever so close. But we're really talking millimeters here. But this is why throwing fourth is difficult, because either Philip gets this shot or he doesn't. This is kind of a all or nothing shot. He will either get 100% for this shot or nothing at all. Whereas if you were throwing first, second or third and you were within a couple of millimeters, you would probably still get quite a good score for that. It's hard work throwing fourth. He is certainly not bad. And everybody's in our way. A little bit difficult to tell what happened. I think he might have done enough, you know. Philip Hösli continuing to do really well throwing fourth stones. As we said, that was definitely one red already. And did he come in with enough weight to just push that yellow behind? I think they did. Let's confirm. He certainly did. Lovely shot, Philip Hösli. So continuing their super form that we saw this morning. As I said, it's not that Team Jungen isn't playing well. It's not that they are not challenging Team Hösli. They are absolutely putting pressure on. But Team Hösli really responding to that pressure. All four of them continuing their great work from this morning. So, fourth end then, approaching the halfway point in our final here. Nice action shot of Justin Halser.
Okay, English. Gaat natuurlijk. English gaat goed.
I'm not sure if the call was a guard or whether he wants to just go straight into the house. No risk to going straight into the house. Björn Jungen will not remove that stone. Would be really easy for them to remove that stone, but as we've said, if you just exchange hit, then hit, then hit, if you do that for 8 stones, then Team Jungen only has the chance to make 1 point. And they are now 2 points behind. So throwing up a more aggressive start, they want that corner guard in place. And Team Hösli want the reverse, please. We have Serena also in the chat, another Stocker fan.
English gleich knapp, nur das 2.
Warte, wenn's geht.
Enger mehr gleich, 2.
Kay says that Stocker is the winner of the hearts.
Wer? Nur 2, hè?
It does seem to be quite a popular man. And I'm sure he hopes to be winner of the trophy today.
Okay. 12.
Not quite finding the right line then, Justin Halser. And giving Simon Gempler the chance to use that.
Hartstikke klare communiceren, we gaan direct de linie.
Oh. Oh. Oh.
Verlenging hätte ich mehr, aber kann ich gewusst.
We have the on-ice cam today.
Team yeah.
That's what's providing these nice action shots. But Simon also not quite finding the curl and leaving that yellow open. And good opportunity here for Marco Hefti to make a nice hit and roll behind cover. And I wonder if we'll see another attempt at a force here to try to force Team Jungen to score only 1 point.
Achtung. Hess. Close. Hess.
Really langsam, man.
Yup. Yup.
Hard. Hard, just hard.
He's certainly got the yellow. Has he got the roll? Again, not quite. I think both teams know that the throw-in can really grab a big curl at the end, and they're both very cautious of that. They don't want to crash onto the guard and get nothing. So they're rather sweeping it first and then lifting the brushes later, let it catch the curl, but that may be having the effect that we're not quite catching enough curl at the end. So another chance for Björn Jungen.
Yeah.
Achtung. Go.
And again, not quite finding the curl. And meanwhile, that stone that we're sort of swapping backwards and forwards is getting closer and closer to the front of the house and becoming perhaps a little bit less useful in terms of putting pressure on. So come on, Marco, let's see if you can find the roll behind cover.
Liggen, Hengi.
Achtung. Yep.
Lig lang, 11 out.
Oh.
11 out.
Wie? Good.
And he's got a little bit of a roll, but still that red is open.
Dat is wel 12.
As I said, that stone inching closer and closer to the front of the rings, actually. So even if Björn Jungen now can get the roll behind cover, he'll be more or less in the front ring and not putting quite as much pressure on as if we'd made the hit and roll in the first place.
Ja, maar kom je net terug.
And I don't think that one's curling enough either. No, it isn't.
Vind je 11 out, goed.
For this short execution is not for the purists. We've got cover, but nobody seems to want to use it.
Close. Yep, see you then. Whoa.
Oh.
Close. Whoa. Close. That'll be back. Yep.
Right.
So
Whoa,
this looks maybe a bit better. He's certainly got the yellow. And he's got at least half a roll. We're getting there.
Tot 12. 11,5.
But as I said, we are also getting pretty close to becoming a guard now.
Yep.
But it looks like all the Swiss fans in the chat, they're all pretty happy with how this game is going. It's certainly a close game. As I said, I think both teams are quite respectful of each other. They're both playing quite cautiously, I think. Neither of them wanting to take a risk at the moment.
Good team. That's on.
So, yeah, let's do something different. Let's take the play away completely from the centre.
Ja, Danny.
Oh.
Close.
Oh.
Close. Oh.
9.
50.
And now he's going for a really big roll, actually, to get all the way back to the centre.
That's up.
Doesn't quite make it.
9.
So not too much for us to chat about in this third end, but as I said, I think that's due to the level of respect both of these teams have for each other. Neither one really wanting to take the game on at the moment by the look of it. Neither team really ready to take a risk. We're approaching the halfway turn. in this final of the Adelboden International. And in the second half of the game, somebody's going to have to start taking some more risks.
Fast throw, so.
Now there. So.
We also have Colin Zemp in the chat. Hello, Colin. Thanks for joining us. And he is also a Stocker fan by the look of it. I get the feeling that over lunchtime, Yves Stocker has sent a WhatsApp to everyone on his phone and asked them all to come and support. So first throw for Philip Hösli, throwing 4th stones this weekend, doing a really nice job of it too. Goodness, now we have Jan Bloom in the chat. Is there no end to the Yves Stocker fans out there? But that's great to see. It's much more fun when we can all watch together, when all the fans are here in the virtual club cheering on their favourite teams. As I said, this is the home event for Team Jungen. They're from Club Adelboden. So I guess most of the folks here in person, they would probably like to see Team Jungen win this one. So I think we've got plenty of fans on for both teams here today. First throw in the 4th end for Mark Vista then. They are 2 points behind at the moment. The score is 3-1. They do have last shot rather, but been struggling to really build anything. I think, yeah, this might be their best chance, but have they got it around the guard? I don't think they have, no. Just caught the edge, but because he had that nice weight, it ends up finding a decent spot. I don't think it will be there for too long though, because I think Philip Hösli will be able to see almost all, if not all of that yellow, and can definitely go ahead and remove that. And he will, again, really want this red to hang around, because then Hösli will be lying 2 reds, one either side of the central line, and they will, again, be forcing Team Jungen to pick up 1 point.
Clean, close. Justin, push. Height.
Yeah, ground. Roll. Height down. Height.
Just like that.
Super stuff.
And no choice for Mark Vista. Again, if it was the 8th end and your life depended on it, you could go for the double. It's very flat. But that would not be the right choice at this point. The best idea is, again, to just accept that we didn't really manage to set up that end, and now we are being forced to take 1 point and give last stone back to Hösli. So that score of 2 in the 3rd end could end up being quite important in the second half. But first things first, we've seen Mark make plenty of these shots this weekend, but it's never easy. That's why throwing 4th is tough. He cannot make a mistake here. There's nobody throwing after him, and he has to get it right. The sweepers look pretty happy with it. They're keeping it clean all the way. Under pressure stuff from Mark Pfister. Great work. Really well done there. And that score of 1 gives us a score at the halfway point of 3 points to 2 in favour of Hösli over Team Jungen. And as I said, just that score of 2 in the third end, that's the only difference between the teams just now. Very tight stuff out there. And you can see on the left of your screen in the top corner, you can see Celine, our event photographer, getting some nice action shots today. And you can find those on the event Facebook and Instagram sites. So we're into the second half of the final of the second Adelboden International 2021. Whoever wins here, we will have a new champion. Last year's champions were Team Peter de Cruz. So whichever team wins here will be a brand new champion on the trophy. And I must admit, that's my favourite part from winning a competition, is just that your name goes on that lovely historical trophy with all the other names. Cautious first half I feel we had, and I think especially Jungen, I think they may start having to take a couple more risks there. You can see it's a very close game. No steals yet. We have Luca Chiandetti in the chat, also an eavesdrocker fan. So definitely everyone eavesdrocker has ever met seems to be cheering his team on today. Nice start again from Justin Halser. I think the fact that all 4 of them were just making everything this morning, so Justin Stone's really setting up the team beautifully, making everyone's life just that bit easier. I do think Bjorn Jungen may be he may have to take a few more risks in the second half. They haven't really looked like scoring 2 yet, and they're going to have to catch this up. But not taking their foot off the gas here. They do have last stone, but they're going straight for the centre. Calling Jungen's bluff a little bit, saying, no, we're not going to go to play on the wings. We're just going to get to the centre first, take control there. And as I've said before, we see this more and more these days. You do still regularly see teams putting up corner guards and trying to initially play away from the centre, but this is becoming more and more common, that even if you do have last stone, you might want to get to the centre first. Euphrosyna Schnider, I hope I said that correctly, Euphrosyna. Also another soccer fan. And we've said, you know, this constellation has been working out rather well. The reason Eve playing in this team is because the regular skip for this team, Marco Hösli, he has been playing with the rest of Eve's normal team, Team Jan Hess. And yeah, it seems to be working well. Maybe the other 3 will say they don't really want Marco Hösli back. And that doesn't help you, Björn. I think they were trying to go around the back of everything.
Ich finde das eigentlich recht gut da momentan. So.
Okay. Wie Tiefrolle, ist das auch etwas?
So.
Ja, oder sogar, auch wenn wir weitergehen, ist eigentlich... Ja, gut.
Ja, sind einfach immer der Tief, finde ich okay.
Ja,
Ja.
dann ist der Roll wenigstens nicht.
Zum selber
Danny.
schießen. Hä?
So. Wie? Nein, wenn dann raus. Aber
Ich habe einfach das Gefühl, wenn wir reingehen, haben wir viel mehr Platz, um irgendwo etwas gut zu machen.
Yeah, that yellow's hardly even a danger to them, to be honest. I think they would just be using that to get a third red into play. Jungen is never going to guard that yellow where it is. And I think, yeah, they're probably just playing that controlled way and get a hit and roll towards the centre.
Close. Ja.
Nu helpt dat.
Ja.
Nu halt.
Wow. Oh.
Nu halt, fast niet.
And that's
Super, sehr gut.
just rolled a little bit further out of the centre from Marco Hefti, and that does give Bjorn the chance to try that same shot in the opposite direction.
Ja. Der Hure weit dran.
Jan Schmutz in the chat, also here for
Gerade auf der Gelb hier.
the Eve Stalker show.
Ja.
Schnell.
Gut. 80.
Das 8, ja.
And this is never nice if you're trying to steal a point or you're trying to force the issue. You don't have last stone, and it's never nice if you have to use your own front guards. So we found a decent angle there, but again, I'm not sure that's helped him too much. He does get rid of the third red,
Zehner.
but
Vorne 4.
the angles disappeared a little bit to use those
Innenseite.
centre guards to drive back now.
Ja, einfach, dass der Doppel nicht mehr haben. Wenn er ja nur halben Stein schieben und den Shooter ein bisschen auf der Innenseite haben.
Finde ich gut, ja.
Denkst du, ist nicht schlecht?
Hinter 4.
Ja, ich glaube, T-Line langt mehr als.
And yeah, I think no reason not to just keep piling towards the centre here. They're only 1 point ahead, Team Hösli, but for me,
Oh.
they've,
Oh, warte.
T-Line hinten 4.
I think, been a little bit more on top of the game. I think Bjorn Jungen
T-Line, Line
is
is
going to
perfect.
have to come up with something
Hinten
a
4.
bit special.
Achtung.
Hinten 4.
Ja. Ja. Ja.
Hinten 4.
Ja. Oh.
This looks really nice from Marco.
Perfekt, super.
Gut so.
Really nice stuff there. You can see
Alles gut so.
there's no angle there for a double takeout, I don't think. Or maybe you could
12 auf die Nase.
just about move the front red onto the one on the left, maybe.
Hier, da,
Ja,
hier, und
just
da,
as
hier,
Bjorn's
zurück.
indicating. You could certainly move them around. Maybe spring them out of the forefoot.
Ja.
But at the moment, for me, Team Jungen not really taking the game to Hösli. I think they're going to have to come up with some more difficult questions for them if they're going to get on top of this game.
Warte. Warte nicht.
Ja, ja, das schon.
First stone in this fifth end for Tim Jungen.
Right.
And that's moved at least one of them. It's changed the angles a little bit, but yeah, I think they just need to keep playing that same shot at the moment, Team Hösli. Keep going up that counterclockwise handle. Keep piling in to that area just ahead of T-line.
Das fragt mich auch. Ich habe das Gefühl, perfekt wäre auf der wäre halber Stein schieben.
And I can imagine Mark Pfister mentally preparing for another real pressure shot with his stones. Yep, same shot again, please.
Weißt du, für so halbe 4.
Vorne 4 Länge.
Ja. Aber vorne 8 ist super.
Ja, wenn wir es schaffen, über die Stelle und links und dann weiter. Ist auch schon zu spielen, ne? Hier?
I presume there's a stone coming. Yes, here we are.
Ja, Linie, Linie.
Linie clear.
Just that same shot that Marco just played.
Oh, easy.
Von der 4 ist perfekt. Yep.
Yep.
Oh, clear.
Oh.
Oh. Wo ist er?
He's round the guard by plenty. No trouble there.
Hard.
Oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh. Even net gedaan.
And that's, again, exactly where they wanted it.
Goed op zo. Nou, dat is 2 go. Gaan hem maar voorbij tieten, erom omleggen.
You see, again,
Ja.
I'm,
Blijft daar
again, I'm not quite sure there was a double. If
Dan
those
gaan
two
we
reds were on
voorbij
their
tieten
own
naar
there,
erom.
I think you could double them out, but I think the red on the left of the centre line, I think that's going to catch the front one.
Drittel, viertel is goed. Ondergeleid.
We shall soon see. We certainly have to start clearing a bit of space here. There are 4 reds lying, and red has last stone. So Jungen has to come up with something quite special here if this is not to be a turning point in the game. So big throw from Tim.
Goed, Tim.
But a nice big weight there, and he does manage to spring 2 reds, so that's certainly cleaned up the situation. Great shot from Tim.
Beetje heugje weer, is jou super.
Ja.
Yeah, I think Jungen could just about afford to lose 2 points, but they need to get back on top of this game for me. And still red just piling the shots in. This is how you're taught to play when you first learn, is just keep drawing, let the other team make the misses. So contain yourselves, ladies. Nice close-up of Yves Stocker.
Gewoon 8 voor de 4. Alles dicht. Tegen knoopplaat. Wist je het wennen munt?
Yep.
We haven't played so much up this path, so it's maybe a little bit stickier out there, a little bit slower. We haven't done so much sweeping on that side, and indeed that's going to just pull up a bit short, so a bit of a let-off there for Jungen, but life not getting much easier, I have to say.
We gaan zo wikkelen toch hier. Op brik lopen. Hier is goed, hoor.
Oké.
It looks like they're going for a dead draw behind that red just thrown.
En de Klima nodig.
I think there is definitely space, and we've seen Mark Pfister really keeping this team in this game with a few shots already. But for the sake of good curling, let's see Mark Pfister make a nice shot here again. I think if he gets round that red guard, I think this shot will find a really nice spot.
Linie is goed. Linie is goed. Kom maar verkleinen. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Is he round the red? Oh, he's not. Oh dear.
Also von mir aus der Freeze.
Nein, das ist gut.
Er wird den Roll schnell spielen, aber wenn er gut hat.
They've only got 1 more shot in this end. 3 stones to come. 2 for Hösli, 1 for Jungen, and as I feared, Mark Pfister is going to have another really tricky shot to get this team out of trouble.
Ja, 11 is eigenlijk goed. Het is zo gespeeld houden.
Ja.
Fühle raus, wäre perfekt. Und noch ein bisschen mehr geben.
Ja. 15:0, ja, ja, das ist schon so.
I think the call is, again, just a front of tee kind of weight from Philip Hösli. The same ice, you could play a hit and roll in, and actually maybe that is what he's doing. Maybe that is his easier way of doing it.
Heftig!
Ja, heftig! Halt!
Komm!
Halt!
Bring ihn! Bring ihn!
That's not rolling anywhere near the centre.
Perfekt.
We've seen that a few times on this line, when you're that little bit wider, when you're away from the centre ice, and you're playing that straight hand. We've seen that a few times, that the straight hand doesn't curl very much out there. It just kind of goes backwards once you've released it.
Ja, so gut. 3/4 treffen ist gut.
So this better be good, Mark. He's facing 3, and there's another red to come. So I expect he's wanting to play on that yellow he played with his previous shot and just push that towards the 4-foot.
Yep. Oh. Yep. Yep. Yep.
I think this is a bit of a game changer, this shot.
Ja, ja, Hamner! Hamner! Tia! Tia! Yep. Yep.
He had a lovely weight, didn't he? It's exactly T weight. I'm not quite sure how that changes it. Very difficult to tell from our angle. I think it definitely negates the red behind it.
Ja, halb an ihnen. Ja.
I think that red was just
Ja.
touching the 12-foot, but I'm not too sure, to be honest.
Spielt nicht gleich. Nur das 8 ist das
To
auch
me,
gut.
it looks like it doesn't cancel the red on the centre line.
Nein, das nicht.
But Philip seems to think he's got enough space to catch the edge of that yellow, push it through the gap, and hopefully score 3.
Yep. Yep. Ja! Halt! 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 Halt!
Justin giving it everything, and he's absolutely right. He does have enough space to catch the edge. So brave shy from Mark Pfister, but not good enough for the all-conquering Hösli team at the moment. And as I said, they really blew past the Russian team this morning with this kind of quality. The Russians not having a happy game. They were not really on top of their game, but they were up against this kind of play from Hösli as well. So a huge score of 3 in that 5th end. As I said, Philip normally throwing 3rd stones with his team and stepping up and throwing 4th this weekend, and what a great job he's doing. Big smiles. Yeah, I think well deserved. Everybody's throwing really beautifully in Hösli team. So after 5 ends then, a score of 6 points to 2. This game getting away from Team Jungen a little bit. They need to put the brakes on here. A couple of people asking if we can talk to Yves Stocker after the game. I will have to check that. We are not in the same place as the players here in Adelboden. I will certainly try and check for you. Maybe if I tell him how many fans have been calling in or writing in the chat, maybe we can get a word with him. I will check that. Yannick Dublin even says Stocker for president, so first things first, let's win this game first.
In der Tat noch ein bisschen merken. Hürlimann sicher genug.
If If you weren't here at the beginning of the game, we had news from Peak Curl, who is watching from Scotland. They jumped into the chat to tell us that more Swiss success in Scotland. Team Yannick Schwaller has won the men's event. As far as I remember, I think they were playing Ross White in the final. So Team Schwaller also in winning form at the moment. They will face Team Peter de Cruz in a best of 7 to decide who will represent Switzerland at the Olympics.
Oh, oh, out, close, yep, yep, out, yep, point.
And we saw this once or twice this morning. That's this kind of mixed doubles tick shot, and that's actually great. That's super work for Justin. It maybe looks like a bit of a mistake because he's punched that yellow into the rings, but it's not, because now that it's in the rings, that yellow, it is not protected by free guard zone. And guess what? That means they can remove that yellow next time. So that's a super shot from Justin. As I said, you quite often see that shot attempted in mixed doubles during a power play, where you have the guard over more in the corner. And Team Jungen, they really just have to stick to their task like the Russians. As I said, the Russians were really all over the place this morning. They did not have a happy game, but they are still difficult to beat, the Russians. They don't panic. They don't seem to get upset about it, let's say. They just stick to their task, stick to their tactics. They know what they need to do. And they're very mentally tough, the Russian teams, is my impression of them. So that's what Jungen needs to look for just now. They need to look for inner strength, mental strength. They just need to stick to their task. They're up against a team that's in flip-hot form. But they need to try to not let that get to them and try and stick to their task. So Dominic sends us a super chat of 5 francs, and Kay also for 5 francs. Thank you so much. That all helps to keep our happy little virtual club going, that we can all watch the games together at future tournaments as well. We also have Mac Doric in the chat. And he also says spectacular curling from Team Hösli all day, and that's very kind, because I think Mac was supporting the Russian team this morning, so that's very nice of him to say. Antonella Hösli says Hob Glarus. And I think we can guess which team she's for as well. So it seems like everyone in Glarus and everyone in Liestal is currently watching this game. Yeah, everything coming up Hösli at the moment. And as I said, Team Jungen, they need to try not to let that get to them. They need to just stick to their task. It's hard work to grab a game back when you're a few points down, especially when you're up against the sharp shooting of Team Hösli. As I said, both of these teams would be a new champion for us. Last year's champions was Peter de Cruz, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it would be a first WCT victory for both of these teams as well.
Okay, now this is also good. Yes? Yeah.
Kay hoping that Stocker can take part in the next Olympic Games. Yeah, why not? First stone in this 6th end then.
Go. Clean. 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 Easy.
For the
Yep.
unstoppable eavestalker today.
Clean. Yep. 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 That's in. Perfect.
Nice and tidy again.
Here.
Very good.
Yeah, we've been saying that
Good.
although it's Team Schwaller and Team de Cruz, they are the two who will play off for the
It's all
Olympics,
right,
and they
the
have
next.
really been the two formed
turn.
teams in Switzerland for this Olympic cycle for sure.
Das Minister. Oder hier
But
fließen.
just because we hear those names and those are the dominant
Immer
teams,
selber hier bis hinten dran.
I feel like it's maybe not completely clear that it's not that Team Peter de Cruz and Team Yannick Schwaller, it's not that they will go out and beat the two teams we're looking at by 10 points to 2 or something like that. That's not how it works at all. It's that they're a few centimetres better every time, and that's it. It's really hard to stay at the top where Schwaller and de Cruz are.
Yep. Ja, ja.
And if either of these,
that
those
hits them.
teams have a bit of an off day, well, we've got two teams in front of us who will gobble up any space left. And Team Jan Hess put in a great performance in this competition as well. Team Schnider
Ja.
were 1 stone away from
Good
being
aim,
in this
good
final.
That it?
There are loads of strong teams
Ja, bist mit.
coming through
Big help, bist schon drüber.
in Swiss
Ja, ja.
curling. And yeah, it will be really interesting to see
Oder so macht vielleicht der Doppel.
which teams emerge for the Olympic cycle next time.
Yep. Yep.
Goed zo. Kom nog wel hier.
Nice simple stuff there. Removing the guards. Just keep concentrating, Björn. It's really tough to play against this when the other team is a couple points ahead and they're playing so well. It's very tough to keep your concentration, to not get too dispirited about it.
En draag.
Tim Jungen there, he's had a really nice weekend.
En de 12.
He's been extremely
Rauslau.
consistent for Team Jungen.
Yep. 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 Whoa. Whoa. Yep. Whoa. Whoa. Yep.
This is exactly what they have to do. They have to try to use
Good.
every possible half chance to set something up. And they are trying their best.
Feel.
As I also always say though, if you're going to score more than 1 point in an end, you need your opposition to make a mistake. You have one last shot, therefore, at this level at least, it is relatively straightforward to score 1 point with your one last shot. And if you want to do better than that, you need to force a mistake from your opponents. And that, I think, is a little bit what is missing for Team Jungen today. They are just not getting any mistakes out of Team Hösli. And there's another one.
Hier. Mal die Hand. So. Zo.
So same idea, I think it looks like they just want to try to freeze that red on the forefoot, I think. This is the first stone of Mark Pfister for the 6th end. 3 stones to come, including this one.
Linie warten. Linie warten.
Oh, that's got a way to curl to make it to the red on our left.
Yep. Timmy, Timmy, Timmy. In draag.
I think maybe Bjorn's saying, okay, let's get behind the red then and try and get it some backing.
Nog een, nog een, nog een. Right.
It's a nice weight from Mark, but again, I think not quite found the line.
I'm appeal.
And I think in a normal game, let's say, I don't think Team Jungen would be doing too badly. But they're up against a team that is just on fire this weekend. They are getting every hit, they are getting every roll, they are getting every draw behind cover.
Clean.
Clean. Easy.
Yep.
Easy.
Easy.
And no trouble there for Philip, and he also makes sure that red rolls out. Doesn't want to leave any backing for Mark Vista. And again, Team Jungen being forced to score one. Team Hösli really in control of this game. And Team Jungen running out of ends to turn this around now. They're, as I said, they're just about hanging on to this game, but they're going to need something very special in the 7th end. Hösli will have last stone in the 7th end, assuming Mark makes this stone here. And I think if Hösli scores anything in the 7th end, I think that will put the game out of reach. But I don't want to curse poor Mark Pfister. Let's see him make this stone first. Oh, we have another super chat from Dominic and from Kay. Really leading the Stocker army out there. And great work, Mark Pfister. He's really keeping this team in the game, I tell you. He's just about keeping them in touch. He's had to make clutch shot after clutch shot, Mark Pfister. And that score of 1 brings the overall score after 6 ends to 6 points to 3 in favour of Team Hösli over Team Jungen. And a super chat from Rhea. Thank you, Rhea. All cheering for Team Hösli featuring Eve Stocker out there.
Machen, ja. Da ist der Marke rein. Gut.
Gute Länge.
Backline.
Ja, das ist gut Heck. Länge schauen.
Ja, ja!
Knappe Länge.
Ja! Ja! Oh, oh. Te klein, ja.
Goed zo. Gaan we kijken.
Zo goed.
Super zo.
Bloedleren gaan.
Het houdt. Gaat zeker uit en dan zo niet het.
Terug, bro.
Ja, ik heb pielen, vind ik het niet zo. Niet zo net. Wat veel zou dat?
Ja.
Tegen lengte.
Ja. Ja, genau.
And golly, another super chat from Dominic. He's really a super fan for this team out there, and I have just had a little chat with Chief Technician Stucki. And as I said, the setup here in Adelboden is a little bit different, but we just discussed how we could make it work. And we do think we have a plan. once this game is finished. If everybody hangs on for a couple of minutes, we think we have a plan that we can run downstairs and talk to the players. So do hang on. I will remind us again towards the end of the game. Not over yet. As I said, Hösli's team on fire, and I think indeed we're going to need something special from Team Jungen to stop that at this 7th end. Otherwise, yeah, but I think if Hösli scores anything here, if Hösli even scores 1, that would give us a score of 7-3. And I think that would be too big a hill to climb. But let's see. I always say it, that stranger things have happened. My previous mixed team, we were famously in a game where we were -4 at this point, and we won. So it's definitely possible. Thank you, Kay, for your super chat as well. I will certainly be telling Eve how dedicated his fans are. And I know we always have a lot of fans for Hösli team as well. And rather sober faces out there for Team Jungen. I'm not surprised. This has been a really tough outing for them.
Jetzt noch. Den ist gut.
And as I said, like Team Jungen not playing horribly out there, not at all, but they have run into a team who seem to be absolutely on top of their game. They're doing the right thing, Team Jungen. They are trying to give themselves chances.
Clean. Easy.
But just not being allowed to settle. And because Team Hösli is their +3, they don't need to take any risks. They can just keep it tidy, keep it clean. They don't really need any more points. They just need to stop Jungen scoring points.
Warte. Restlinie, aber gut. Ja, ja, ist gut. Linie macht noch.
I will certainly tell
Gut, Team.
Team Hösli and Eve that they would do well to rewatch this match, not only to just take note of what a positive match it was for them. They're just not doing anything wrong out there, but also just to keep eyes on all the fans in the chat who have been extremely dedicated today. So don't hold back, Eve. No hanging around with this one. It is a nice position to be in when you're up a few points in the game and all you have to do is just remove a guard here, a guard there. It is a very satisfying feeling. And equally, we've all been there on the other side when, as I said, you're not really having a horrible game, but just you've run into a team who are just on fire. There you can see that huge trophy in the background. It's a real lovely one. It's been around for a long time, that trophy, but it was reborn to be the trophy for this competition last year. And I think this one will be coming full beans as well. Anya in the chat is watching for the first time. Welcome, welcome, Anya. You've picked a very fun game to watch with us. We have some lovely active fans in the chat. There's another super chat from Dominic. Dominic and Kay really showing their support here.
Ja, was ist, wenn wir hier den Chancen nassen, dann kannst du nicht so herfliegen. Hier geben wir mit der Gratis-Doppel. Und dann ist die Mitte offen. Ja, aber der ist die Mitte offen. Was machst du dann mit dem letzten? Ja. Ja.
Du hast gar nicht gesehen, wie weit das auseinander ist.
Kann ich auch, ja. Ein bisschen Distanz, ja.
There's the trophy. Yeah, you can see there are a lot of names on it already. We've only played the Adelboden International in its current form. We've only played that once before. That was last year. But this was an older trophy from the club, repurposed for this. So there's all kinds of names from through the years. And I'm sure both of these teams would love to get their names on a nice big handsome trophy like that. So keep at it, Bjorn. We have 4 stones to come, including this one.
Linie Hunter, ja. Linie Bruch.
Sounds like Anya watching her first curling game. Sounds like she's having a nice afternoon, watching curling and eating pasta. What a great way to spend a Sunday. And I think the Stocker Army are all but popping their corks with champagne at the moment. So 3 stones to come in the 7th end of the final at the 2nd Adelboden International. 3 stones to come. This one wants to be a double takeout on those yellows. Then Mark Pfister will play around that red guard to just before the tee line. He will force Philip Hösli to draw to the 4-foot. And if Philip Hösli makes it, I think that could be it. But that's in the world of perfect curling. Let's see what happens first. As I said, I'm really impressed with Philip Hösli throwing 4th stones this weekend. It's normally his brother Marco that is skipping 4th thrower in this team. So I think they've found a good partnership there, Philip and Eve. That's worked really well. There, as we said, Mark Pfister will try to bury a stone behind that red on the right of our screen. He will force Philip Hösli to try to draw the 4-foot instead.
Linie kommt gut, ja. Ja, ja.
Meter kürzer als.
Ja, Linie super. Komm mit.
His pressure shots have really kept the team in the game so far, Mark Pfister. I think a lot of praise for him for this game. Yep, puts the pressure on Philip. You could come round on the anti-clockwise handle. You can see, I would say, just under half of that stone. Honestly though, I think the correct shot and actually the cool thing to do would be to draw the 4-foot, but looks like they'd rather just catch the edge of that yellow. And to be fair, Philip's been hitting a lot more than he has been drawing, so maybe he feels more comfortable playing that higher weight. Ria in the Stocker Army is so nervous she can't breathe anymore. I know how you feel, Ria. It's been a super game to watch. So let's see if Philip Hösli can finish this game here at the 7th end. As long as they're round the guard, they've definitely got it. He's round the guard, no trouble. Rolls out. And a blank end. And
Clear.
indeed, that is enough for Team Jungen. I think they're probably wise. I don't see them getting 3 points back the way that Hösli is playing. So congratulations all round. And now I'm going to take off running down to the ice hall. Chief Stuckey is going to keep the microphone open, and we will see if we can grab the big man.
Ja, rück.
Ja, en toen ook het microfoon toe.
Not sure how we can tell if this is working or not, actually. Celine, could you check with Fabian if do you have your phone? No, or if this is working? If you can hear me, no, I didn't think of that. Keep yours just now, Eve. We had Dominic and Kay in the chat. Is that your friends? I don't know. It seems like you have a lot of love out there. So
He should talk to you, not me.
No, but it's nice to talk to all of you. So yeah. So first of all, yeah, big congratulations. I think you just got better and better over the weekend, and I've been telling everyone, yeah, that you did a bit of a switch, right? Sorry that I must speak in English, but it seems like the fans understand. So yeah, I know you switched because Marco is practicing with Team Hess, which is normally Eve's team. So have you played together before? How did that go for you?
Yeah, we have had some couple practices together, and last spring we played in a similar formation in Russia, in Nyman, but of course it was still a bit of adjusting at the beginning. First games it was sometimes a bit shaky, but I think we figured it out and got better and better.
And do you think your brother Marco should be a little bit nervous about his place in the team now?
I don't think so.
Eve, how did you find playing with these three guys? So yeah, you kind of got kicked out from your normal team this weekend. How did you feel playing with these guys?
It was great. We played so good. Okay, sorry. We played really great curling. I was in 2019 with these boys at the Worlds. We know each other, so it was a lot of fun.
It looked like it. Yeah, there was a lot of smiles and so on. And even we had one of the Russian fans in the chat this morning, and even he said, of course, these guys have just been on fire this weekend. So yeah, even the opposition fans were really impressed. Okay. Yeah, but we just improvised an interview because, as I said, all of the fans were so happy to see you winning, doing so well. And one of them even said, "Can we have you stopper for president?" And we thought, well, first things first, that you're already the champions. And we said, "Can we have you stopper for president?" So what do you think about that? Do you think first curling career and then maybe president?
Yeah, that sounds good.
That's like
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for this spontaneous interview. We'll
Thank
try
you.
and figure it out better for
Yeah.
next time. But and congratulations, it's such a nice trophy. It's beautiful.
It's 100 years old.